Doug Williams played for the Washington Redskins, quarterback. John Elway of the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. Everybody was talking about Elway. After the Super Bowl, when Doug Williams made a historic passing game, they asked him, said, how were you able, in spite of all of that negative publicity saying that you couldn't win, how did you do it? He said, I ignored my critics. I just didn't pay any attention to them. I ignored myself because they kept on saying it so much. There were times I doubted whether or not I can do what I needed to do. There's a Doug Williams in everybody here. There's greatness in you. And you've got to learn how to tune out the critics outside and the critic inside. And since I'm going to do this, I'm going to harness my will, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. I deserve this. I'm going to do it until. And this friend, I told him, said, start increasing your calls. I said, I make 100 calls a day. I got a callus in my ear. My ear's kind of dark. You can't see it, but it's there. His sales have increased. He's working harder now.
Now, here was my first goal when I started, and that was part-time. I wanted to equal on my profits part-time what I was earning on my full-time job. This is called the magic of part-time. It is so thrilling for people to start working the business part-time, because now you can work on profits, and it doesn't take very long. If you'll really concentrate on those 10, 12, 15 hours a week, it won't be long if you really do it right and learn some of the skills I'm going to talk about. It won't be long until you can be earning as much part-time working on your fortune as you are full-time working on your job. I did that in less than 6 months. Now I've got an incredible invitation. I found a way part-time to work on my fortune, and I'm making as much money at that as I am on my full-time job. Would you like to hear my story? It was incredible. Now here was my second goal, to make twice as much money part-time working on my fortune as I was working full-time on my job. And I reached that in less than a year, making twice as much money part-time working on my fortune as I was full-time working on my job. Now I've got an incredible invitation that won't quit. I found a way through a unique opportunity to work part-time on my fortune, and I'm now earning twice as much money as I am working full-time on my job. Would you like to hear my story? Do you imagine anybody would say, no, I don't care to hear your story? No. Everybody I said that to said, wow, yes, what are you doing? I said, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. Now, when I started making twice as much money part-time as full-time, here's my dilemma. I didn't want to go full-time. And why not go full-time? And the reason was because I didn't want to give up my electrifying story. Right? It was so powerful, nobody could resist the invitation to at least take a look. I didn't want to give it up. And I hung on for I don't know how long until it was, almost insane. And then finally, reluctantly, I gave up my full-time job. But now you can imagine the thrill and excitement of going to work full-time on my fortune. It was incredible. However, make a special note of the two words, take advantage. That is what we must learn to do. Take advantage. Just because spring comes is no sign you're going to look good in the fall. You must do something with it. In fact, everyone has to get good at one of two things, planting in the spring or begging in the fall. So take advantage of the day. Take advantage of the opportunity. And read every book you can get your hands on to learn how to take advantage of the spring. And one more thought, get busy quickly on your springs, your opportunities. There are just a handful of springs that have been handed to each of us. Life is brief even at the longest. The Beatles wrote, "Life is so short." And for John Lennon on the streets of New York, it was extra short. But it is short. Elton John sings, "She lived her life like a candle in the wind." They will take it, unless you prevent it. And that is the third major lesson to learn. Major skill to develop. Preventing the intruder from taking the good. Here are two key phrases to consider under the third major lesson. Number one, all good will be attacked. That's the first phrase. On this planet, all good will be attacked. And don't press me for a why. I was not in on some of the early decisions, so I don't know why. All I know is, it's true. Let reality be your best beginning. Every garden will be invaded. Not to think so is naive. Here's the second phrase. All values must be defended. Social values, political values, friendship values, marriage values, family values, business values. Every garden must be tended all summer. If you don't develop this skill, you will never wind up with anything of value. Last is the fourth major lesson in life to learn. Learn how to reap in the fall without complaint. That's number 4. Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It is one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you have passed from childhood to adulthood, accepting full responsibility. And learn how to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you have done well, and without complaint if you have not. That's the best of human maturity. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's the best. Now, I used to have some problems in this area, way back in those early days. I used to have this list of reasons why I wasn't doing well. To explain, right? Otherwise, you're going to look bad. I used to have this funny list called Reasons for Not Looking Good. I really did. I used to blame the government. You can believe that or not. It was at the top of my list. I had a lecture second to none. The government. I blamed taxes. Look what you've got left after they take everything out. Taxes, that was on my list. I blamed prices. That's easy, right? You walk into a supermarket with $20 and come out with this little half bag of groceries. That was on my list. I blamed the weather. I blamed the traffic. I blamed my car. I blamed the manufacturers. I blamed my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blamed my cynical neighbors. They were just selfish, looking out for themselves. Wouldn't loan me any money. I blamed the community. I blamed the economy. Hey, that's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was a good list. I will never forget this one day. Mr. Schoaf was very kind, but he was also very blunt, which was helpful for me. If he hadn't been blunt, I would have missed some things. On this particular day, with a kind of question mark look on his face, he said, "Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me how come you haven't done well up until now?" Excellent question, right? Well, so I wouldn't look too bad, I decided to go through my list. How I ever had the nerve to do that, I don't know, but I did. I went through the whole list. The government, taxes, prices, everything. He was very patient and let me go through it all. When I finished, he looked over my list very carefully and said, "Mr. Rohn, big problem with your list. You aren't on it." How brilliant and how true. When I went to work for him a few months later, I learned very quickly to tear up my list of reasons for not looking good and threw it away. And then I got a fresh piece of paper and I put one word on it. Me. There's a Black Heritage spiritual that says, "It's not my mother nor my father, nor my brother nor my sister, but it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer."
That little piece of hood logic was a little bit too much for her. People live wonderful lives with multiple degrees. Well, I'm not one of them. You've got to write everything down, y'all. It's an amazing thing. And let me tell you something else. Can I tell you something else? You do not have to change who you are to be successful. You have to change some things about you, but you don't have to change who you are. God created you very, very unique. I don't know if you all know this, but it's about how many people on earth? What's the number? About 7 billion? Listen to this. Do you know it's 7 billion people on earth? Ain't none of us got the same fingerprints. Who do that? Who can make 7 billion patterns and ain't none of them just alike? That's your God, your creator. That's how unique he made you. He made you so unique, you got your own set of fingerprints. It's probably been, I don't know, some billions of people that already died. I don't know. I'm just glad I ain't one of them. Billions of people have died. Guess what? Ain't none of them had the same fingerprint either. God made you uniquely you. See, I'm who I am. I don't use proper grammar. That ain't my thing. You know, when I got on a talk show at NBC, you know, they sent this lady to work with me. What is it? A linguist? That's my son right there. I got him college educated because I ain't. See, I got money. So everything I ain't, I hire who is. And so they hired this linguist to work with me. And she came in and set her books down in my office. I said, ma'am, who are you? She said, I'm your linguist coach. I said, oh, cool. I always wanted to make that kind of spaghetti. This is a true story. This is not a joke. This is really a true story. I had no idea what this lady was talking about. So I'm sitting up there and she says, what is that? She said, I'm here because NBC feels if you want to be successful in daytime television, you have to speak more eloquently. So I'm here to work with your grammar. I said, oh, I ain't finna do all that. She said, excuse me? I said, I ain't finna do all that. She said, could you say that slowly for me? I said, I ain't finna do all that. L-A-T. I ain't finna do all that. She said, that's exactly why I'm here. I said, ma'am, what is you talking to me about this for? She said, because your grammar won't sustain a television show on daytime TV. And so I'm here to help you become more grammatically correct. I said, oh, ma'am, you wasting your time. I ain't even bothered with all that. She said, excuse me? I said, I ain't really bothered with all that. She said, could you say that for me slowly? Sure can. I ain't really, I ain't really about all that and I ain't with it. She said, oh my God, this is worse than I thought. Now I'm enjoying myself because I'm really not fitting to do this class with you. I promise you I'm not. Oh, this white lady. Ooh. Mr. Harvey. Oh, that's cute. Stomping don't really scare me. I've been shot before. That don't. Mr. Harvey. Woo. I tried to act surprised. Mr. Harvey. Woo. Tried to just give her something. She said, you have got to stop this. You have got to speak more grammatically correct to be a success. I said, to be a success, I got to speak more correct. I said, let me ask you something. Which one of these sound best to you? I am broke or I'm is rich?
Somebody help me in here. Touch somebody and say, I'm ready to work that thing. I'm ready to work that thing. I'm ready to work that thing. I'm ready to come up out of my fear and my doubt and my worry. I'm ready to work that thing. I'm ready to work every day and every opportunity and every door he opens. I'm ready to work that thing. I'm ready to work that thing. In fact, touch 3 people and say, work that thing, work that thing, work that thing. Work it. Work it in the mission fields. Work it in the church. Work it in the ministry. Work it in the music department. Work it in the children's ministry. When you get back to your church, work that thing. It may not be big like this, may not have all the equipment like this. You may not have a lighting system. All you got is a flashlight. But baby, work that thing, work that thing, work. I want to get you so fired up that hell gets nervous when you pull out of the parking lot.
You shared it with them, and they shot it down. You know why they shot it down? Because they couldn't see it. Because God didn't put it in their imagination. He put it in yours. It was your evidence of things not seen. See, all this stuff you've been imagining, you ought to start working on it. Because that's what God really got for you. Your real life is in your imagination. I'm here to tell you that. You think I'm here by accident? I'm here because he put this in my imagination when I was 10. When I was 10, he showed me I was going to be on TV. That's all I ever wanted. The assignment when I was in the 6th grade was everybody write their name on a piece of paper and write what you want to be. You know what I wrote on my paper? I want to be on TV. Now, the problem I had, though, was I used to suffer with a serious stuttering problem. I couldn't talk outside my house. I stuttered for years. I flunked out of school. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I lost everything I ever owned twice. I've been homeless and lived in a car for 3 years. But at 10, though, I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV. So the teacher went around the room and read everybody's paper. She had you stand up when she called your name, and the only assignment was your name and what you want to be. Doctor, lawyer, dentist, basketball player, football player. I wrote I want to be on TV. She saved me for last. She said, "Little Stevie, come to the front." Now I'm thinking, I'm going to the front because I got the best answer. Because ain't nobody had put that on their paper. She called me to the front. I'm thinking I'm finna give me a gold star, but I was wrong about that. She called me to the front to humiliate me. First of all, you know I can't talk. I suffered with stuttering stammer so bad, man. I couldn't talk at all. And that lady lit in on me. "Why did you write this on your paper?" Now I'm standing there, I can't talk. Who in this school ever been on TV? Who in your family ever been on TV? Who in this neighborhood ever been on TV? I'm crushing, man. I'm standing there dying. She said, "Look at you standing there. You can't even talk. How they gonna put somebody like you on TV?" So every Christmas, I send her a flat screen TV.
We need to let go of our need to fit into this small box society placed us in. And we must imagine the life we really want. Then, when we are certain what that life is, we have to go for it. We only get one shot at this miracle of human life. Live it fully and exactly how you want. Sure, we all have your dreams. There are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other, as though everything is a miracle. He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. It really is.
Dreams without action, that's the path to delusion. Without action, these dreams and goals will fill your life with a load of negative emotions. Things like anxiousness, nervousness. They will fester inside you and drain your energy. The reason most people don't take action is simple. It's fear. Fear of failure, fear of success. And the only way to overcome this and to stop making excuses why you shouldn't act is to make not taking action more painful than taking action. People sit around and they focus on all the bad shit that might happen to them if they try to act, that they completely forget about what will happen if they don't. So think about it right now. Let's think of some things that might happen if you try to do the thing that you've been wanting to do for years. Okay, well, it might not work the first time. It might not be as easy as you thought.
People are going to think you're mad. They're going to look at you and think you're insane. They're going to tell you like, it ain't possible, it's risky, you shouldn't do it, be careful, stick to what you know, stick to what you do. That. Follow your dreams. These people have to see to believe it, but you need to believe it to see it. Amazing things happen when you believe you have something. Your brain actively goes out to make it happen. It starts to notice little subtle opportunities that you would have otherwise deleted because it knows it's got a job to do to get you what you want.
But if you keep taking action, in spite of all this stuff that might happen, guess what? Sooner or later, you're going to start winning. Remember, there ain't no such thing as failure, baby, only feedback. So to make yourself take action, you got to make a decision. And that decision has to be final. People take action and get done when they have had enough. They decide. And they say, that's it. I'm done. No more. You're either moving forward or standing still. The choice is yours. Decide.
In this social media world that we live in today, it's so easy to lose your way. I look around at so many people today and can see that they just don't know who they are. It's easy to see the life that we live in today through some Snapchat filter. To look around at everybody else and say, that's what life looks like. That life looks perfect. I want to be just like that. So they go around and start acting like other people, doing what other people do, taking a selfie in front of an expensive car, put a million filters on the picture and upload that to Instagram to tell the world, this is who I am. The problem is, behind closed doors, they know that that's not who they are. So they end up lost, wandering around in a lie that they created. And the only thing to keep the lie going is more lies, more pictures, more filters, until one day they look around and realize that they have lost themselves along the way. They have no idea who they are or could be because they've been trying for so long to be someone else. I think the greatest, most influential people in history deep down are the way they are because above everything else, they were themselves. No one else. They wasn't like someone else or even compared to anyone else. You have to follow your heart. You have to be you. You have to make your choices based on your principles and beliefs and don't let outside forces or influences dictate your decisions. I believe it's our decisions that make us who we are and more importantly who we could be. So if you go through life always making your decisions based on someone else and what they might think, you'll never truly find yourself. It all comes down to how much you care about what other people think. It's a scary thing in the world we live in today to be yourself. With so much fake perfection out there on social media. But I'll tell you this, it's also the best feeling in the world when you go through life knowing you ain't what other people's made you, but yourself. It's liberating. There's freedom in it. So stop hiding and be yourself.
I've had it with being broke, and I've had it with lying. I've had it with being embarrassed over not having any money in my pocket. I promised myself that day that this would never happen again. I picked a day and an amount, and I said, I'll never carry less. It was one of those reasons that still affects my life after all these years. So I now carry a few $100s in my money clip. I do that for two reasons, I guess. One reason is the way it makes me feel. That special feeling of having plenty. Mr. Shove said to me, the first $500 you earn, put into your pocket, not in the bank. It feels much better in your pocket than it does in the bank. I've found that's true. But I also carry plenty in case I bump into another Girl Scout who's selling cookies. I'm ready. I remember walking out of the bank one day in Northern California where I lived at the time, and there were two little girls selling candy right outside the bank for some girls' organization. The first little girl walked up to me and said, Mister, would you like to buy some candy? I said, I probably would. What kind is it? She said, it's almond roca. I said, that's my favorite. She said, wonderful. I asked, how much is it? She said, it's only $2. I thought, it couldn't be. Still $2 after all these years? I couldn't help remembering the Girl Scout and the cookies. I said, how many boxes of that candy have you got? She said, I've got 5. And the other little girl standing there, she was selling candy too. I asked, how many boxes do you have? She said, I've got 4. I said, that's 9. I'll take them all. They said, really? I said, yes. I've got some friends, so I'll pass some around. They got so excited, put all this candy together. I reached into my pocket and gave them $18. Now, when I've got the candy and they've got the money, that first little girl looks up and says, Mister, you are really something. How about that? Can you imagine only spending $18 and having someone look at you in the face and say, you are really something? Now you know why I carry heavy. I'm not going to miss those chances anymore. It was a small goal, just a few $100s, but it had a big effect on my life. I have a dear friend, Robert Depew. Bobby used to be a school teacher in Lindsay, California, the olive capital. After he taught school for several years, he became a little weary of teaching and decided to get into sales. One day, without telling anyone, he quit his teaching job and jumped into sales. When he did, his brother poked fun at him. His brother said, you're going to go right down the drain. You had a good teaching job. Now you're going to lose everything you have. You must be out of your mind. He put him down something fierce. Bobby said, the way my brother acted made me so angry. I decided to get rich.
I believe in bliss of satisfaction. Have you ever bitten into like a great steak and went, oh my gosh, it's delicious? You ever had that happen, yes or no? Did it make you not want the next bite more? Or did you want it more? See, there's a part of your brain, there's serotonin in your brain. The more you celebrate your wins, you celebrate when you're here, you have fun along the way, it begins to train your brain, you want to go to the next level. But if you cheat yourself from the celebration, you cheat yourself from the joy, it's always just a grind. Eventually there's this thing called frying and burnout where your brain doesn't want to do it anymore because it's not pleasurable. It gets no dopamine hit, no serotonin hit, and it wants to stop. You have to be blissfully dissatisfied. I talk about this in one of my audios and my book. My wife's a great example of this. We're complete opposites. I'm running out of time. I'm a super aggressive achiever. My wife, I call my wife, she's easy happy, easy satisfied. If we were living in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere, but we could cuddle up all day long and kissy kissy, she'd be happy all day long. She wears jeans and t-shirts. She could care less about material things. She could not tell you within many decimal points how much money we have. I'm not even sure she knows, other than Bank of America, where any of the money is. Could care less about it. She just loves people, loves life. She's the daughter of a pastor. Her brother's a pastor. She's just a happy person. And she's married to a complete psychopath. But my wife, we've been together for a long time. She's developed some, I love my wife, but I don't like her all the time. The longer, any of you that have been in a long-term marriage here, they start doing some crap, man, that you just drives you crazy. Anybody relate to that, yes or no? My wife has developed this very bizarre habit. I'm not sure how it started or where it started, but when she eats pleasurable food, she moans orgasmically. So we'll be eating lasagna at the house, kids at the table, and she just started this a few years ago, and she doesn't even know she's doing it. We'll be eating, how was school today? Great, say the prayer, and then, or like, I'm serious, or like she's eating a brownie. I'm like, that is so weird. Stop it in front of the kids. What is wrong with you? She's like, what am I doing? I'm like, I don't want to even tell you, but like, it's really uncomfortable. Stop it. She's like, it tastes so good. I'm like, babe, we got it. Stop. But she doesn't know she's doing it. So my son's birthday happens. We're at this restaurant and she's hot. My wife's super hot, right? And I say that being married a long time, she's hot, dude. And so we literally walk into this place and there's some dudes checking her out, and I'm Italian, and I was in a bad mood, and you shouldn't look at my wife more than about one time, right? So these guys look at me, and my kids know, now that I've become a public person, I've gotten better at this stuff, but like, you get to look at her once, maybe twice. You turn around with a whole table full of people, come slap the shit out of you, right? Excuse my language. So these guys are looking at her a little bit too long, and they're on the edge. They didn't know it, but they're about to get slapped. They didn't, you know what I'm talking about, guys, right? They didn't know it, but it was getting close. You do it again, I'm gonna smack you. Sure enough, we're at their table next to them. Her steak comes, takes the first bite. They're like, oh! I can't even blame them. I'm like, stop it. So she goes, what, am I doing it? I'm like, yes, you're doing it. My daughter's like, Mom, you're doing it. Sure enough, a few minutes later, she's like, I'm like, this is embarrassing as hell. I can't even go slap these guys. These dudes are literally losing their minds, right? So we leave the dinner, we get home, we're getting ready to do what married people do after a night out. She's in the bed, and I go, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go upstairs and grab a steak. And I'm throwing this thing in his bed with us, because I've never heard you make these kind of noises before. So we're throwing this steak in the mix, right? She's like, and she literally says to me, she goes, it's just so blissful. And I'm like, that's a training, because I'm dissatisfied and you're blissful. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of validity. You need to learn to be in bliss as you're dissatisfied. That bliss will cause you want to take next bite, next haul, next finance. At that same dinner, my daughter said to me, hey, Dad. My daughter's pretty, like, she's like me. My son's a sweetie like his mom. My daughter goes, hey, Dad, what's up with the midlife crisis? She saw the video. I go, midlife crisis? What are you talking about? She goes, come on, social media. You're growing the beard out, the tight T-shirts. You're going through a midlife crisis. And I go, you know what? You're right. I am. Here's what you don't know. I was going through a young life crisis. When Daddy was 20 years old, I was going through a crisis to get to the next level at 21. I was going through a crisis when I was 28 to be better at 29. I was in a crisis when I was 35 to be a better version of me at 36. And guess what, boo? When Daddy's 55, I'll be in another crisis before I get to 56. And that's a fact. Anybody that knows me, if you want to adopt one of my personality traits, I'm in a crisis to get to the next level.
So what do you do when you're a doctor and you can't check in your own hospital? What do you do when you're walking around acting like you can't catch the flu? You don't get tired. You don't get burnt out. You don't have mood swings. You and her don't have an argument. Your kids are perfect. You phony. That's a lie. You can't raise perfect kids. It don't happen. You don't have perfect relationships. It don't happen. My teeth bite my tongue sometimes. They're in the same head. I mean, and there's no warning or nothing right in the middle of eating a hot dog. Just Dang. Next time y'all gonna argue, would you send out a memo or something? Because y'all are supposed to be in agreement, bless God. We're supposed to be in agreement. We're supposed to touch and agree on this hot dog. And put all that to the side. That's the salad. Let me say something about something else. I'm almost finished. But here's the interesting thing. Separate and apart from everything that Elijah is going through, God is preparing Elisha to be a support to the man of God. Now, it's going on while Elisha is plowing. Elisha is plowing, the son of a wealthy family, an heir to become the heir apparent to a family that is wealthy enough to have a field to plow and at least 12 yoke of oxen. Meant that they were affluent people. This boy was being groomed to take over a major organization, and all he had to do was keep plowing. But while he's plowing behind the ox, he's frustrated because he has the sneaking, nagging feeling that there is something he's supposed to do with his life that he's not doing. And I don't care how much people pay you. I don't care if you get the corner office at the top of a corporate building. When there's something else that you're supposed to be doing, you're not happy doing it. You're only happy when you found your spot and you're in your place and you're doing your thing. That brings fulfillment and gratification. When you're doing the thing you were born to do, bless God. You don't do it for the money. The money just comes behind the purpose. Provision comes to purpose. The provision cannot be the purpose. You'll never be happy because you make a lot of money. All money does is make you more of what you were already. If you're lustful broke, you can do it better with money. That's the truth. If you're hateful broke, you get money, you can be hateful better. People scared to say anything back to you. Money just makes you bigger at what you were before.